English translation, 162nd contact. Friday, 19th of February 1982, 1803 hours.
Today is once again a Friday.
That is actually the case.
Do you now have news about Ferdinand and Ingrid? I have received a rather unpleasant phone call from her, according to which I should ask you something.
That is known to me, and it refers to what I already indicated to you last Friday. But I am still not sure of my case because before the end of the month, I can have no certainty. If this certainty arises, however, then no further success is granted to this intended matter, which would be the result, then, of Ferdinand's jealousy.
You think that, in fact?
My analyses indicate this.
Then everything would, in fact, fail. Nevertheless, I told Ingrid that I fear a failure.
With which you may have thought in correctness, for the signs actually exist.
And could something still possibly be changed?
It would be extremely complicated.
But it would still be possible to do something?
That is of correctness, but success is always questionable.
Ingrid complained that something is abnormal and unknown to her.
In this case, that represents a natural reaction and resulting appearance, because she has very strongly, knowingly, and willingly adjusted herself to the task in a seemingly truthful and honest form. Therefore, such false actions must automatically cause abnormal reactions, particularly because there is the cognition and knowledge that a wrong act was committed, which can have even greater false consequences. That which is falsely brought forth, however, that which is falsely created, also resists against this, which is why this factor in the interconnection is also in league with such reactions.
As usual, many things hang together.
More than you can surmise.
That I can already imagine.
And unfortunately, you now have to deal with it.
Then you already know more details?
No, but the signs are given, even though it is not yet clear. There is the possibility that it concerns a so-called imaginary debt, which has triggered a realistic sham process, for Ingrid was aware of the fact that she should have refrained from such actions in accordance with your explanatory conversation.
I told her that yes, and I thought that she would keep to it.
But she did not do so.
That may nevertheless not be true.
It is, however, so.
Really?
Yes.
You have monitored this?
I had to do that.
I understand.
Both Ingrid and Ferdinand have committed many wrongful acts that are contrary to our regulations.
Honestly, I have not concerned myself with it.
That also was not your task, but rather mine. But if you have made no findings, nevertheless, different group members have. Several ones have clearly observed, for example, that Ingrid was a driving force for Ferdinand not complying with our regulations, in the form that she further animated him to watch the children during the time that he should have devoted himself to his work, which daily amounts to nearly 11 hours of effort. At the same time, the undertaking of this kind went so far that Ferdinand even took the youngest child with him into a peculiar, mobile wooden rod container in order to work, and together with this child, he still watched the other children while Ingrid attended to her meditation in the center. However, this was only one of the violations, for even others constantly arose in recent times, also with Ingrid, which she should think about thoroughly. We carried out her registration for very specific reasons, which she is fully aware of, which is why she must also seek to fulfill her obligations and our conditions. But she does exactly act accordingly when she enticed Ferdinand to violate our regulations and to ignore our determinations that we have provided for them. In any case, in the future, it should be determined for her that she completes her hour of meditation in the center during the time from 23 hours to 24 hours, at the time when Ferdinand can watch the sleeping children. Henceforth, it should no longer be allowed that Ingrid can visit the center for the purpose of meditation at times when the children still fall into her watching time. And since I am already speaking of the children, I must make a declaratory and shameful statement regarding the daughter Melanie. This child is clearly overworked and overburdened by Ingrid to work, which leaves her too little free time for self-activity and for the play instinct that is still very pronounced at this age of a child. Even our children, who are already very much developed at this age, cannot and may not be kept busy by us in such a senseless way, and certainly not a child of the earth humans and of the present time. In this regard, Ingrid has to reduce the workload for the child Melanie drastically, and 80% less of the present work would still lie just on the edge of the maximum stress capacity. Regarding Ferdinand, I also have to reprimand that his work often does not run within a framework that is reasonable for him, which means that his efforts only correspond to just half the value of what he would be capable of doing. In other matters, it is also manifested that he is very stubborn and wants to work according to models and rules that are neither appropriate nor right. His knowledge in practically all areas of work is often very poor, which is why he should let himself be taught. I, too, have had to learn a great deal on earth concerning the work that is done here, whereby I enjoyed not least the best apprenticeship with you, who are very skilled and knowledgeable in an unbelievable number of areas of work, whereby you surpass even the best of our peoples, who have mastered about 50 different professions. By this I do declare that Ferdinand surely cannot wish for a better teacher on the earth.
I know that he has ideas that cannot be realized. I have experienced this recently with regard to the construction.
You have indeed enlightened me about that. But it is not right that he can simply make things according to his own will, because the given regulations are to be observed and followed in every answerable respect. And you are responsible for ensuring that these regulations, etc., are also fulfilled. And should that which is planned be done, then I must make you aware that your finances are calculated very precisely for the monthly expenses, etc., so you cannot request materials of any kind before the necessary amounts are available. In Ferdinand's case, this means that you may only procure the materials once he has given you the necessary capital for it in advance. In regards to the laying of the pipelines, it is, indeed, only natural that this work be at his expense, because it is to his advantage. But with regard to these matters, I still have to explain to him that he has to follow your instructions regarding all these intended works in every respect and do nothing according to his own will. The laws of your residence and of the center do not allow for violations to be made against them.
I have already made that clear to him several times, however, there was no success.
Also, in reference to the night watch, things are not good. Once again, he has not fulfilled the last duty arranged by me in this respect. As I observed, he ignored this in his old habitual wise, as he, once again, cited that he would have to drive home that night when he was assigned to the task of the watch, even though in each case before he was clearly willing not to drive away until a day later. Nevertheless, his change of plans always only came when it was communicated to him that he had to carry out a night watch. In this, however, he is not the only fallible one, but also Ingrid. It has otherwise also arisen that Ferdinand and Ingrid have made it that, in each case, they first appear at the center very late on Saturday night. Even though the statutes state that core group members who stay at the center on Sundays have to appear at the center in the early morning of the preceding Saturday. So here is also committed at least a violation of the house rules, which should have already been penalized long ago. In the future, these given rules of order are to be kept, even by Ferdinand and Ingrid. They voluntarily agreed to participate in the meditation exercises every Sunday, which is why they have also been scheduled into the corresponding ring order. But this requires that they adapt themselves into the rules of order and accordingly arrive at the center at the given time on each Saturday before. The ordinal rule says that at 7 o'clock in the morning, work must be taken up at the center. But regarding the long journey of the two, some consideration can be made, according to which it is to be recorded that they should be permitted first to appear at the center at 12:30 HRRs, and at 13 HRRs, work must be taken up. This applies at least to Ferdinand, while Ingrid is first included in this order starting from the month of March, as was determined before. In addition, the order applies to Ferdinand that henceforth he has to carry out a night watch each night from Saturday to Sunday, starting from midnight, and in each case, this lasts until 7 o'clock in the morning. For Ingrid, the rule applies that from the 6th of March, she is also scheduled into the night watch, and to be sure, during 2 nights per month, and in each case, she has to carry out a half watch alternately with Ferdinand. This means that the two of them, alternately in each case, have to take on 3 1-2 hours of a watch. Eva has to make the appropriate schedule for this, and Ingrid's first watch has to occur then, on the 6th of March. Then, along with this, it is also to be strictly ensured that during the time of the watch, this is carried out correctly. In each case, the spouse responsible for watching the children is the one who is not carrying out the watch, so that the one on duty does not have to take a single step toward the children. With regard to breastfeeding the youngest offspring, the watch time can be set to take place during the time when no breastfeeding has to take place, which is absolutely problem-free. In the remainder, it is still to be explained that the meditation circle was put together and programmed by me in accordance with certain values, and that it is to be kept in the given composition. If even a single member falls out, then the circle cannot be accomplished, because the sequence would not be right anymore. Moreover, all members have already gotten into the practice of this order and have agreed that the circle cannot simply be broken in this form, without adverse consequences having to be feared for the individuals. As the ring is composed, it has already become a solid circle, which could only be broken again if an approximately 6-month-long interruption toward a removal by vote would be effected. This means that during this time, no more circle meditations would be carried out, neither in a closed nor open form. It is, therefore, declared to all that they cannot simply leave the circle anymore, but they are now bound therein, in their own interest as well as in the interest of all group members who belong to the closed circle. A respective failure of this circle may also only occur when there is actually a compelling reason for it. As for Ferdinand, I must now say that we have to think about how we can continue to help him, since obviously, due to his wrong action, what was intended cannot be brought to fulfillment. Concerning this, I have to send him advice from the High Council, which is that the condition is made for him that he should now first be reflecting on how to form his life in accordance with his duty. But for him, this now means an unusually hard commitment. If he proves himself, however, and if he fulfills his duty in the coming years, faithful to the requirements placed on him, then after careful consideration we may feel compelled again to share a mediating word with the High Council in order to help him. For Ingrid, some assistance must be reduced, as she, too, has not incorporated herself into the given regulations in the form that could have been expected of her. She herself has also done faulty things that brought her and Ferdinand harm. If she still continues to violate our regulations, then any further assistance must be stopped for her. Nevertheless, all this does not refer to the help for the children because they bear no blame in the wrong events. Due to irrationality and individualism, and also due to jealous whims, unwillingness, and a hasty change of front, etc. She did not want to recognize the given facts, and she has also ignored orders, by which means she has, together with Ferdinand, at least threatened the intended task and the given determinations. More details in this regard will still turn out, after which we must then bring eventual consequences to bear.
That was once again a hell of a long and also rather unpleasant speech from you.
Regrettably, and it is really unfortunate that such concerns must be discussed again, as it was already very often the case in former times, unfortunately, before the group members had reflected upon the better. But the fact that now, with new group members, the same or similar problems appear again, this is more than just unfortunate. And after this incident, it might not just remain with this, for as I know very well, one incident leads to the next, so probably already within the next few days, such unpleasant things must be spoken of again. However, we are in no wise pleased when, at times, such unfortunate issues have to be dealt with in conversation by us and have to be transmitted to you for the contact reports, because already for a long time, such things should not have had to be included in these reports, for all group members should have progressed so far that such things are unnecessary. This is, however, not always the case, unfortunately. Nevertheless, I can only be found ready to discuss these regrettable matters openly during this current month, so that they will then appear in the transmissions. But starting from the month of March, I have other winds to blow and must, indeed, separate the wheat from the chaff, after which, then, such unpleasant matters will no longer be officially addressed in our conversations, or transmitted to you for the contact reports. In the future, fallible ones fall under the provisions of the statutes, which means for them that they must be excluded upon a corresponding, renewed failure. Only through this will the remaining group members not be burdened again.
This ought to have been done earlier.
It seemed too hard to us, but now we have no other choice because the time begins to hurry. But now, to your suffering, which I have diagnosed. Nevertheless, I want to talk about this with you, without these words then being transmitted.
Then again, go ahead, my friend.